Welcome to my little sewing corner. This is the part of my room where I do all my sewing, and for the last few months I have been staring at this giant pile of clothes that need altering. Some of them need to be repaired, some need to be altered to fit me better, some of them need to be dyed, and I just need to take care of this pile because there are clothes in here that I would like to wear. So I thought it'd be fun to just take you along as I do these alterations, kind of show you what I do. Some things are going to be new to me, some I've done many times before. But yeah, I mean, this is just a way that I, one, save money by buying thrifted clothing and altering it to fit my body and repairing things that need repairing and all the fun stuff. So this is going to take me several days. I'm not going to be able to dedicate a ton of time even today to do this. But I thought the starting point would be to go through these, categorize them based on what they need done to them, and then we can go from there. Okay, so let's go through this in real time. This black shirt is way too big. I shouldn't say way too big, but it's not my size. I don't know. There were two of this same shirt and I got the bigger size. Why, I don't know, but it's too big. So I need to take it in on the sides and probably shorten it. My mom gave me this shirt and I don't mind it, but again, it's too long, so I need to shorten it. This shirt, I was drawn to it. We were at a little shop when I went back home to Wisconsin. It just says sunshine and coffee. Super cute. It's not my best color on me, but it's comfortable and I like it, but it is too big. Then I have my Disney Spirit jersey that I got off Mercari a few years ago. And Spirit jerseys are supposed to be super big, but as I've said before on here, I am very short. And so oversized things just make me look like a big potato. And I don't want to look like a potato. So I'm going to attempt to shorten this. I'm a little nervous. I mean, I got it secondhand, so it's not like I paid the $80 that it is in the store. I think I paid less than half of that. Or half of that. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, so I'd like to shorten that as well. Okay, this is a St. John's Bay. It's an extra large, so it is too big for me, but I don't wear it because it looks weird. I did wear it in one video. I just didn't like how it looked on me. I don't know if I'm going to be able to shorten this because it is knit, but I'm going to try. Because if I don't, I'm never going to wear it, but I do like it. So, I don't know, YOLO. Okay, last up is this adorable cardigan that I thrifted for my daughter. I think she was with me, so she picked it out. It probably needs like a shave. I've never done that, and I'm not going to with this, but it is just darling. She loves it. She was asking about it the other day. Again, it's been sitting here forever. What it's missing is 2 buttons, and I found these at Hobby Lobby. They're not, are they different sizes? Well, they might be really similar. I think they're different sizes in here. But that was pretty darn close. So I might just remove all the buttons, save these for another project. That way they're all the same color. But I just need to add buttons to this and then she'll be able to wear it. And I think it's going to be perfect for Christmas and Valentine's Day. So that is everything. I think we'll start with the easiest first, which will be the buttons. So when you see me next, we're going to go ahead and add some buttons to this. So we are starting off with the easiest project in my opinion, and that is this little cardigan. As I said before, I am just going to replace all of the buttons with the new ones that I got. So I'm just removing all the buttons with my little embroidery scissors, and then I'm going to go in and add the buttons basically exactly where they were before. So I had this coordinating thread, I threaded the needle on, tied a knot, and then I went up through the back side of the cardigan, and then I went up through the button, one of the holes, down through the other hole, and you just keep repeating that until the button is secure. You want to make sure that it's not super, super tight because you won't be able to actually secure the button. So I always make sure that I test that before I finish off the project. But once the button is nice and secure, all I do is I tie a knot in the back, then I cut off the thread, tie the two ends together, and that's it. And then I just went basically exactly where all of the previous buttons were, and yeah, I'm excited about this. It was a super easy fix, and now my daughter can wear it, and I am going to make sure that I keep those buttons. I've been really trying to be conscious of that. If I'm taking buttons or zippers or anything like that off of different items, I am saving them because you just never know, and I try to reuse as much as I possibly can. I really don't like waste, so even in my Etsy shop, all of my scraps I keep and make different projects with them. So just a little tidbit that I've tried to be conscious about, but look how cute this is, and she's already been wearing it. Next up is this stripy shirt. Now just disregard the fact that I'm talking in these clips. I decided to go a different direction when I was editing. Basically, this is super simple. I am just going to hem it. Now, this is a knit fabric, and it's not really something that I was thinking. Knits are harder for me to sew. I'm not super experienced with them, so I basically just cut this and left it. It rolls a little bit on the bottom, and that's it. I really didn't need to finish the edges off. You definitely could. There is a technique that I have used before that works really well on these types of fabrics, but I just decided to leave it, and I might finish it at some point, but it turned out fine, and the length is so much better. And then this one had buttons down the back, so I just kept the one button, and that's it. Super, super easy, and it turned out great. Now I can, tuck it in the front. It's really hitting me so much better in the back, and that's it. Now this one is that black shirt that is very oversized and just doesn't fit that well. So what I did is I tried it on inside out, and I'm kind of pinching the sides to, see how much I need to take off and just placing a pin there. That way I can, cut that part off and make it better. And then I also wanted to bring it up about 3 inches. So I am just, measuring that out all the way across, making sure that it's nice and even. And again, this one is more of a knit fabric. My original plan was to do a rolled hem on the bottom. That is the technique that I was just talking about. I've done it on one other top. It turned out so cute. The only problem is I don't have any of the proper thread. I wanted black thread for my serger, and I couldn't get it anywhere, and I just wanted to get it done. So again, I might finish off the bottom sometime. I think this one in particular would look so much better if I did the rolled hem on it, so that's going to be a project for another day. But I just left the bottom as is, and then I am just using my serger to go ahead and finish off the edges on the sides and cut off all that excess fabric. I will say it looks so much better, and I'm definitely going to wear it. The top portion, like the arms and chest, is a little too big still, but it's a huge improvement, and I'm definitely going to be wearing this so much more. Now with this top, I decided to do a little bit of a different technique to hem it because I wanted to keep the original hem. I found a video that shows how you can keep the original hem. I have never done this technique before, and basically I'm just kind of pinning it up to where I want it to fall, where I want the edge to fall. So you can see I'm pinning it up there right below the hem, and then I'm just measuring that. It was about 3 inches, and I just pinned it all the way around so that it was even. And then we're going to take it over to the sewing machine, and we're going to go ahead and just sew right underneath the original hem. Again, this technique is a little bit different, but it's really cool that you get to, skip the step of hemming because it's honestly kind of can turn out a little wonky. So I'm going ahead, I am just doing a straight stitch right underneath that original hem, and then I'm going to go over to my serger and I'm going to serge that edge. And I have the knife blade engaged, so it's cutting off all of that extra fabric. Now I will say I got a little bit too close to the hem. I should have gone maybe like 1/8 of an inch from where I just sewed. I think that would have helped it lay a bit better, but again, this was my first time doing this, and I'm gonna definitely be practicing because pretty much every shirt that I get, I have to hem in some way. But then once you are done serging, you cut that off, iron down the seam, and then we're going to actually sew that seam down. You can kind of see where it's lifting up, and that is gonna help it lay flat. Again, this was a new thing, so when I've been wearing it since I did this, I think I needed to sew even closer to the top of that, I don't even know what you call this, the edge, basically, so it didn't really have an opportunity to flip because it's flipping up. So definitely a learning experience, but look at how that looks. Like, you wouldn't really be able to tell that I took off 3 inches, or actually is more than that. But I like it. It turned out so cute and just much more flattering on me. I can do my little front tuck and it's good to go. So I'm really happy with how that one turned out. Next up is the Spirit jersey. Now we're starting to get more complicated. I started with the easier projects and I'm working my way up. So what I wanted to do with this one, obviously bring it up, but I wanted to keep that original kind of swoop at the bottom. That's not the right word, but I wanted to not have a straight across because I like how the kind of curved edge on the bottom looks. So what I did is I went up 3 inches everywhere, but I kept the markings and just kept marking it 3 inches. So I went up from the middle bottom up 3 inches, and then I'm kind of just going along the edge so we can keep that curved hem. Then I just used some tailor's chalk to trace that line. I pinned above that so I could keep the fabric together, and I just went ahead and cut it off. I wanted to keep the Spirit jersey tag still on there. So what I did is I just, seam ripped it out of the original shirt, and then I opened up the seam on the side and just added the tag back in. I don't know, I didn't really need it, and this is just for me. I'm not going to try to sell this or anything like that, but I thought it was just it's a little something different, special. It's not different, it's just a little something special, a little attention to detail, if you will. So that was pretty easy. I just seam ripped the side, as I said, and replaced that in there, sewed it back in, and it was good to go. Then I went over to the sleeves and I wanted to shorten the sleeves. Now, looking at this, I don't even remember what I did. If I can find the tutorial that I followed, I will absolutely link that down below so you can check it out. This was my first time ever shortening sleeves. So did some measurements according to what they said, cut off the sleeve, and then I seam ripped the little cuff off of the end. Now, the cuff itself is stretchy, and so I probably should have somehow narrowed the sleeve that's attached to the rest of the shirt to make the cuff fit a little better. But I didn't want to get into that far. I was already, stretching myself on this project. So I just seam ripped it off. Then I put the cuff on upside down and kind of aligned the seams together. So the seam on the cuff, I, lined it up with the seam on the sleeve, and that really seemed to help and made it pretty easy. Then I took the whole shirt over to the sewing machine, and I guess I didn't share this part, but I just hemmed the bottom 1/2 inch, then 1/2 inch, and I'm sewing the hem on. Very easy, whatever. And then as far as the sleeves go, then I was able to put them onto the sewing machine arm, basically, and sewed it with the cuff basically upside down, inside out, upside down. Sewed it around. Then I took it to my serger and just finished that edge off to make it extra secure. Then I went back to the sewing machine and top stitched around the cuff just to finish it off and help it lay flat. And I'm so excited with how it turned out. Like I said, never done sleeves before. And the curved hem on the bottom, all of that was a little bit new to me. And I think it turned out so good. And I'm definitely going to be more inclined to wear it, especially on my upcoming Disney trip, which I'm also super excited about. I think it's just so much more flattering on me. Moving right along was this vest. This one I was pretty scared about, didn't know how it was going to turn out, but as I said, I just wanted to go for it. So I tried it on, pinned it up to kind of where I wanted it to hit, and then I'm using the same technique for this as I did with the yellow shirt because I want to keep that original bottom portion kind of like a hem. Like that's the hem that I'm using. So I pinned it up, I sewed it in place, then I used my serger to get rid of the rest of the fabric. And again, like I said, did everything the same as I did for the yellow shirt. The only problem at that point was that it was fitting really weird after I did that, right? It was like flaring out on the sides, and obviously you're not supposed to sew this, okay? So I kind of had to combat that by taking it in on the sides as well. So I ended up cutting the sides to fit a little bit better and then serging the sides, and that helped. It ended up being too short in the back, maybe not too short, but shorter in the back and longer in the front. Overall, it was a learning experience. I might do it differently again. If I ever have the opportunity. I don't know. If you have any suggestions, let me know down in the comments. Don't tear me up too bad. I tried my best. But yeah, if you have any suggestions on how you would hem a knit top, let me know. I'd be curious if you've ever done it before. I saved the best for last, and it is this vintage LL Bean top, okay? So I decided to shorten the bottom and shorten the sleeves. So for the bottom, I decided to just go up past that slit just a little bit so that we're just getting rid of that part. Now the original hem on this was about like a 1/4 inch. And so I wanted to keep that. So I did the hem a little bit differently. So after I cut straight across, then I took it to my serger and I serged the bottom. After I serged that part, then I went in with just one fold, about a 1/4 inch, and then I top stitched that so that I had a really small hem, and I really like how that turned out. I think the serging was essential to make sure that, no fraying happens, but I really liked that really small hem at the bottom. It looked very similar to what it did before I cut the bottom off. Then moving on to shortening the sleeves. This was a new experience. Again, I had already done the Spirit jersey, so I had a little bit of experience, but this is constructed differently. So it's got basically like a little cuff on the top. So I was able to remove that portion pretty easily just with my seam ripper. So after I took that off, then I kind of understood how it was constructed, and then I was able to shorten it. Now, the hard part about it is there is a slit, obviously, in the sleeve, and I didn't know if I should go above the slit or keep it intact. I decided to keep it intact. If I would have not done that, it would have been too short, or it would have been like a 3/4. Is it 3/4? I don't know. It would have come up my arm a little farther than I wanted it to. So I'm using the same tutorial that I did for my Spirit jersey. Again, couldn't tell you all the measurements or anything like that, but I just measured up a certain distance and then I cut it off. And this was the tricky part, was trying to figure out how this little cuff went back on. I eventually figured it out, and one out of the two sleeves has the button in the correct position. I put one of them on backwards, but it's okay. I can still button it. It's fine. But how I put this little cuff back on and made it all work is I did some pinch pleats. Otherwise, there was too much fabric since I cut it up a little bit higher. There was too much fabric to fit into that cuff. I'm just going to call it a cuff. I don't know. So I just did a couple pleats. You could see I just folded it a little bit and then shoved it up inside of the cuff. And then I sewed it around. I did 2 top stitches just to make sure that it was secure. And it worked out perfectly. I was so proud of myself for figuring that out. There were no tutorials that I could find, and so I had to just think how I was going to do that, and it was a lot easier actually than I thought it was going to be. So I am just tickled pink with how this specific shirt turned out. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that it maybe gave you some inspiration to get out there and thrift and know that you can alter your clothes. You don't really need crazy sewing skills. If you have any questions or would like me to break down, you know, what I did a little bit better, or maybe get back to basics and kind of teach you some of the basic sewing things, I would love to do that. I actually have been planning on doing that for a while, so if that's something you're interested in, just let me know down in the comments. But thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.